I am so grateful that you all are here today. This is Around the Phire, and we're really grateful that you are with us today and willing to talk about your recruitment counselor experience. The goal of this conversation really is simple. We just want to hear from you and about your recruitment counselor experience. We are really excited to learn more about just what worked when you were a recruitment counselor, what was maybe difficult about the experience, because it certainly can be hard at times. Maybe what you think future PNMs and future recruitment counselors should know going into recruitment, all of that and more. So we're going to just dive right on in. I would like to start with some introductions. So I'll kick us off by saying that my name is Alyssa Ciengo. I serve as a customer success manager here at Fired Up, and I will be leading our conversation today. I never directly served as a recruitment counselor, but in my previous role, I was a Panhellenic advisor where I oversaw our recruitment counselor directors and all of our recruitment counselors as well. So I have a lot of experience working with recruitment counselors, and excited to hear about your experiences as well.
My name is Parker Lee, and my campus is Georgia College State University in Milledgeville, Georgia. I've been a member of my chapter since fall of 2023, and then I have only served as a recruitment counselor this past fall.
So my name is Ava, and I go to the University of Arizona. And then same as Parker, I've been in my chapter for 3 years, and I was a recruitment counselor this past fall.
My name is Diana Clock. I go to school at Colorado State University. I have been with my chapter since fall of 2023, so exact same. And I was also a recruitment coach this past fall.
So my name is Kaylee. I go to Coastal Carolina University. I've also been a member of my chapter since fall of 2023, and I was a recruitment counselor for this past formal recruitment in the fall.
So first of all, I just want to jump right on in. I would love to start with learning more about what you think the most surprising part of being a recruitment counselor is.
I think one thing that really surprised me was how complicated the whole entire recruitment process is. Obviously, you go through it and then you recruit for your chapter, but seeing it from the completely other side, I feel like was really cool. You got to see a lot more of how all of the logistics went, and that was something that really surprised me because I didn't know it was that complicated.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Ava. Kaylee, what were you going to say?
Kind of like the same thing, just like because I had a lot of the PNMs asking, well, how do I know if I'm going to get called back to this chapter, or if I, like, why didn't I get called back to this chapter, like technical things like that. And it was like, we learned it like in our class and during our recruitment counselor retreat, how everything kind of worked. But they said, listen, if they ask, don't try and explain it to them. Because I know I was frustrated when I was a PNM going through it of like, how does this work? Like, what's the logistical and technical stuff? But it was just better off to not tell them. But it was also hard to not tell them because it was just so difficult to explain how all the numbers do work.
Yeah, totally. I'm really grateful that you both mentioned that because I feel like we always tell our potential new members, like, trust the process, right? But we don't actually like explain what the process is. So as a recruitment counselor, it's part of your role to really understand like how that works, right? When it comes to the mutual selection that is Panhellenic recruitment. Yeah. What else? Anything else that surprised you or shocked you about your recruitment counselor experience?
I just felt like all of my PNMs, they asked me like every question under the sun, it felt like.
Yeah.
And I was just like having random girls like come up to me that I didn't even know that weren't part of my group, asking me for advice and like sitting down and talking with them for like a couple hours at times and like helping them make the decision of like what they want to do. And yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And that's such an important role in the recruitment counselor experience is obviously, typically you're assigned like a certain group of potential new members, right? But truly any potential new member can go to any recruitment counselor. So it is really important that you're able to just have these conversations with any potential new member that comes to you. Yeah. What would you say if you had to think about it? Like, what was the hardest part of being a recruitment counselor? What did you find really difficult?
So trying to like not cross that line of like not lying to them, but also not scaring them into, oh, like if you join this chapter, then like this will happen. Because also like people talk, and with recruitment being, at least at my school, it's the second week. So like everyone has their first week of classes, like everything. So people are already talking. They're asking people, oh, what should I join? What happens? They're asking the older people when they go out or see people on campus. So it's like trying not to lie to them because you want them to trust you, to come to you in the future with like when they're preferencing and stuff, but also not scaring them out of the process entirely.
Yeah, totally. Trying to balance transparency, right, of the process, and also trying to make sure that they fully understand the importance of some of our policies, our processes, right, to make sure that health and safety is at the forefront of our joining processes. Yeah. What else has been really difficult or was really difficult about being a recruitment counselor?
For me, it was definitely more on the aspect of helping them with their disappointment. I know the second day back from my recruitment, I had a whole bunch of my PNMs coming up to me and crying because they didn't get the one chapter that they wanted back. And I would be like, that really sucks. And I'm sorry. I know that you had a great time bonding with that chapter, but there are so many other great ones at this campus. And I know that at least one of them want you. So you just need to honestly trust the process. And I know that's what everybody says, but it is just so important that they move on from that disappointment of not getting the chapter that they really wanted back and look towards their future and what positive outcomes could come from recruitment.
I had the same experience with a lot of my girls, and I think it's just really hard because you tell them to trust the process, but they don't really understand like truly how much the process really does work out for most people.
Yeah.
So when they're like super upset about a specific chapter, it's hard to kind of get their mind and attention off of that. I know that I had a few situations at the end after preference where they were like going between the two, and it kind of felt like they were wanting me to just tell them to pick because they were like, I like this and this. Like, what do you think? I'm like, well, they both have great aspects. So it's just kind of hard to stay like positive and unbiased when they're really disappointed and having a hard time.
Yeah, totally.
I would say for me, the morning that their like schedules came out, me and my co-recruitment counselor would go to like their like dorms and their like apartments or whatever, and we would like be there when they got their schedule. So if something like if they, let's say, didn't get back the chapters that they wanted or they were released from some chapters, we were there to be there for them and talk to them. And like,
Yeah.
I think being there face to face really helped, being there like with them emotionally.
Yeah.
And if they were like really upset, we would check on them throughout the day. And like after recruitment had even ended, I reached out to a couple of my girls and wanted to hang out with them like in a public setting, like outside.
Yeah, that's great. I feel like as a recruitment counselor, you often have to have like pretty difficult and tough conversations. What was your like training like? How did you prepare for those difficult conversations?
We had a once a week 3-hour class for all the spring semester, and we had to read this book called Fighting for Our Friendships. And it was just like learning like different kinds of friendships and what kind of leader you are. So when we got into our partners and our groups, like I was able to talk to my partner and she was like, hey, I'm not good with tears. Like I'm not good with high emotions, but I can get them from point A to point B in the time that we need. And I said, okay, that's great. I'm good with emotions. I'm good with tears. And then we also had a recruitment counselor retreat that was like 12 hours, 2 days, where we learned our routes. We learned more in-depth recruitment stuff to really prepare like the 2 days before. So it was fresh in our heads.
Yeah, I like that. Learning more about maybe your leadership style and working with maybe other recruitment counselors about their leadership style too. Yeah, thanks, Kaylee. Ava, what were you going to say?
We had a recruitment counselor work week instead of doing it with our chapter. And for the like difficult conversation side of it, we did a lot of mocks. They would put up like a scenario on a screen, and then one girl was a PNM, one girl was an RC, and we kind of just talked it out to kind of practice and get experience like how you're going to word things. And I feel like that was really beneficial because the situations that they put up on the board really did happen. So I was like, okay, I know how to handle this.
Yeah, mine was very similar to Ava's. We did like, ours was like a week and a half, but we also had to take like, before we even got back to school, because like ours is like recruitment, and then that next week we jump into classes. So before we even got back to school, they sent out like emails to all of us about what type, like quizzes for like leadership styles, and we were like paired up with one another, and we would just like, we went over so many situations, and it was really helpful.
Something cool that my school does is all recruitment coaches are required to also act as kind of like university welcome students. We lead the freshmen as soon as they come onto campus through their class schedules, through different scenarios. We teach them about campus, the resources, and we're kind of just a friendly face for them to be there and see. So I really appreciated that. It gave me kind of like an insight as to what people might be thinking coming into these new experiences. And I also got to experience a lot of difficult situations where people were like, I'm so homesick, I can't deal with this right now, which later translated into recruitment, me being like, oh, I understand that this house might not feel like home to you yet, but it will. You just have to continue working on stuff and continue trying to adapt to your new situation. So I feel like that real life help outside of recruitment was super incredible.
Yeah, totally. When you all think about your training, and training is going to be different when it comes to all of our different campuses, right? But when you think about your recruitment counselor training, what do you feel like helped you feel the most prepared going into recruitment before recruitment started?
Well, at my school, we had like binders that were like written down information of like how to do all of the formulas for lining up and how to like not course, how to like get everybody in the same group area all at the same time, which was really helpful because we did have like practice sessions, but being able to review those materials after the practice was super helpful. And then also like just real life runs with the rest of the team where I would practice lining up my PNMs was so incredibly helpful, even though during actual time it like completely goes all out the window, your brain goes to mush, but having that backup was really helpful.
Yeah, totally.
My campus had the same thing. We had like a little binder with everything just in case we needed it in the middle of a round. But we did like the mocks with the conversations, but we also did a lot of mocks with the chapters that we were stationed at with like lining up the girls and then doing door pickups, doing timing and doing everything like that. And I feel like that was really helpful because it's really stressful doing it for the first time. So being able to get all the kinks out during work week before actual recruitment, I think helped a lot.
I would say for me, we like went over scenarios a lot and situations that we might like get into and whatnot. But whenever like any of us had a question, they were willing to help us. And like they just were so good at explaining every single thing, whether it was like Mr. ABBA or like each day of recruitment, they like wanted us to like thoroughly understand it and they took their time with it. And that was just like really nice.
When you think about your recruitment counselor education, was there anything you wish you would have learned or like dove deeper into before the recruitment process started that would have been helpful for you?
I feel like more of the technical stuff because we focus a lot more on like getting to know each other and getting closer and learning about ourselves a lot. And then the retreat was where we like, really like cracked down on routes, timing, you know, who's going to be a door person, who's going to be a runner, and like where we're picking up and dropping off. But I wish that I did have more knowledge of how the actual, like how we were saying, how they would ask about, oh, like why did I get released from this chapter but go back to this one. Like I wish I did know exactly how that process worked, not so I could tell all the PNMs that, but so I had a good understanding so I could give enough information to them when they ask. So because I didn't want to look like, oh, I don't know, because then they look at me like, well, then what are you here for?
Yeah, I hear you. It's about finding a good balance, right? Between maybe some leadership development for recruitment counselors, learning and understanding the logistics of recruitment and lining up, but also learning about the behind the scenes, the process when it comes to mutual selection and how that actually works for potential new members. Yeah, I hear that, Kaylee. What else?
What I really wish that I had more, like maybe practice scenarios about is I did have one girl who wanted to be released from recruitment, and in like my head I kept on going over, oh, like try to really get her to try and stick through it, try to move through it, but like she was absolutely no thank you, I do not want to be through with recruitment. And at the end of that I felt like really disappointed in myself that I wasn't maybe saying the right words that could have led her down the path to a sorority home. So I wish that I had just more preparement for not only how to go through the release process, but also how to feel myself as someone who had a PNM be released.
I'm curious, did anyone's recruitment counselor training focus on that at all? Or like, did your Panhellenic like encourage you all? How were we taking care of ourselves during recruitment? What did that look like for y'all's experience? in terms of managing your own emotions?
During my recruitment process, we met up like all of the RCs and our Panhellenic exec before each day and after each day, and just kind of chatted and were able to talk it through. And we also had like designated times with our RCs that were stationed at our chapter with us to just kind of like breathe and talk things through. And I feel like that really helps because you're mainly focused on your PNM's emotions, and then that can kind of get the best of you sometimes.
Yeah, totally. So leaning on others for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with Ava. I think like we would meet in the morning and at night, and then like before recruitment we would meet with our group, and like also like being reminded to like have fun with it. Like it's a lot of like, this is like something that you wanted to do, like, and make it the most out of it and have fun with it. And I had a lot of fun and I loved it. So yeah.
Why do you think education for recruitment counselors matters for the overall recruitment experience? Like, why do you think Panhellenic focuses so heavily on recruitment counselor education when it comes to recruitment?
Oh goodness. I think it's really important because I'm not sure how it goes for all the other schools, but for us, we reach out to our PNMs during the summer, and then we have a few different phone calls with them over the summer before they even get to campus. So not only are we like the first face that they meet when they're going into the recruitment process, for a lot of the young girls, I feel like we're the first person that they're meeting from school because we're talking to them during the summer before they even get to campus. So I think just being able to be properly trained to like welcome them and make them feel heard. A lot of people are going from out of state and they're already uncomfortable and it's an overwhelming experience. So just making sure that we really know how to handle all of those situations.
I do want to shift gears a little bit to our potential new members, and your role is so big in their recruitment experience and really shaping that experience for them. And you can probably think back to when you were a potential new member going through the process. Maybe you were stressed, hopefully you were excited, but you might have been a little stressed, a little anxious about, just the process and how it was going to work. I'm curious, like, what advice would you give to potential new members who maybe are feeling overwhelmed about the process?
Something that I told like my PNMs was kind of like, at the end of the day, like I use, like we're on a floating rock. Like if you don't get the chapter that you want, it is not the end of the world. And you can always join the chapter. And if it doesn't work out and if you don't enjoy it, no one's forcing you to be there. Obviously, we would all love for you to stay in the chapter that you're in. But you're already here. You already bought the dresses. You bought the shoes. Like you already woke up early. Like you might as well stick with it and stay through it. And nothing's like binding. Like, yes, there's the MRABA, which, you can't do it again for another year, but it's really, in the grand scheme of life, it's not that big of a deal what chapter you're in, and you're already here, so, like, you might as well do it. And that's what because I had a lot of girls who were, like, especially my older girls who were, like, sophomores or juniors going through recruitment who may be new girls in certain chapters, and maybe they were either really close or they used to be really close and they weren't, and they were nervous about, like, joining a certain chapter, and I was like, listen, that's one of 100 plus girls that are going to be around you. Don't worry about that. Like, just talk. Like, I like you. Someone in some chapter is going to like you. Just go through the process and everything will be fine, whether you stick with it or you don't.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Kaylee.
I think one thing that I kind of wish that I did more when I was a PNM was kind of talk to my recruitment counselor and really rely on her to kind of help me understand the process a little bit more.
Yeah.
I really noticed from my PNMs that a lot of them were kind of hesitant on the first few days to come up and ask questions and like talk about how they're feeling and if they're nervous and this and that. And I could tell by the end of our recruitment lasts 3 weeks. So by the end of the 3 weeks, they felt a lot more comfortable. And I think just knowing that you have such a big support system, the girls that are in your group, your recruitment counselor, the other recruitment counselors, Panhellenic exec, like there's so many people that are there and want you to have a positive experience. And it's a good reminder that all of those people really care.
Yeah, I love that.
Something that I found really helpful for my PNMs was to forget absolutely everything that you've ever heard about all of the chapters. Go in completely with a blank open mind, because yes, there are definitely things being said about chapters everywhere, but just because there's something being said does not necessarily mean it's true. So to go in with just a clear mind and just focus on the genuine connection that you are making with the girl sitting right in front of you makes such a big difference. And ultimately, it can be the one thing that flips you from one chapter to another. It could be that one thing that makes you truly feel at home.
Yeah, I love that. Forming your own opinion instead of letting social media or maybe outside influences influence the opinion that you're creating on these chapters.
For me and my group, I know recruitment, our days were super long, and the days that were a little bit shorter, and our week is our recruitment's like 7 days long, 6 days long. And so the days that were a little bit shorter, me and my co-recruitment counselor, we would try to find time to go hang out with them and do something with them. Like, I remember the last night, it was one of my PNMs' birthdays, and we celebrated, and it was fun just to hang out and talk and not worry about recruitment. We did a candy salad one night, and it was just being together as friends. Yeah. It was really fun.
Yeah, I really love that. I think it is important that they're building friendships because we were just talking about this. They're most likely going to be other PNMs in their group who are joining other chapters. And just because you join other chapters doesn't mean that you can't maintain those friendships after recruitment is over. So I think that's a really great thing to mention, Parker, too, that you're going to form friendships inside of your recruitment counselor group, and that those friendships can be maintained even after recruitment is over. If someone wanted to be a recruitment counselor and they were thinking about being a recruitment counselor, what is something that you would tell them about being a recruitment counselor? What sort of things would you tell them about your experience as a recruitment counselor?
I think I would go ahead and tell them I have never once regretted signing up to be a recruitment counselor.
Yeah.
Yes, it could be intimidating at first. You're being separated from your chapter, which is your safe place, and you're being thrusted into this new environment with all these new people, and you're getting to know them in such a short amount of time, and then you're having all these PNMs come in, and you are a very large factor in their recruitment experience, and you want to make sure that it is a good one for them. Even through all that pressure, I have never once regretted being a recruitment coach, and I don't think anybody who has ever been a recruitment coach would ever say that they have either, because it is just truly a special experience to not only increase the girls that are going to be in the Panhellenic community, but you get to meet all these new people, you get to have all these new experiences, and you get to test yourself in ways that you've never been tested before. And it's just a truly amazing experience to see not only what you could do, but what a community could do for a person.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That makes me want to be a recruitment counselor. Diana, put me in, coach. I'm ready. I'm ready to be a recruitment counselor. What else? What else would you share with someone who's thinking about being a recruitment counselor?
I would share it's okay to be nervous. I remember the first time that I called my PNMs, I was me and my co-PI or recruitment counselor, we're shaking, so nervous to call them because for us at my school, we have to change our names too. And we were scared that we were accidentally going to say our real name, and it's okay to be nervous and have fun. It was one of the best decisions I ever made. I made friends in my group and in every chapter, and it's just yes, it's hard stepping out of your chapter, but it's so rewarding and fun and amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks, Parker.
I agree with what Parker said, that it was one of the best decisions that I ever made. I feel there were so many great aspects, but I really felt a lot more connected to the Panhellenic community as a whole. And I feel I really got to meet so many amazing girls outside of my chapter that I never would have met if I just recruited for my own.
Yeah, I love that. And
yeah, I agree with that. We all got super close during the process too. Now we still text in our group chat. The girls are now living together and being roommates after meeting during
cool.
Recruitment and all of that process. So it's now I have a bunch of girls that I hang out with outside of my chapter. We all hang out together, and I constantly recommend people to be a recruitment counselor.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being open and willing to share your experience with our team. Your perspective is going to be so helpful for future potential new members and for future recruitment counselors. And hopefully this helps them feel more prepared and more supported as well. So we just really appreciate you being on today and playing an important role in your community, right? Recruitment truly could not happen without recruitment counselors.